So we've got our door and window. This probably is going to be next week's class. We only got through the door and the regular classroom, so the window will be today's class, and we may start getting into the structure itself. We're going to go ahead and start by creating a couple new levels. The first one we'll create is called building shape. I should probably put 3D in front of that. And then we're going to create another one. This one's going to be called 3D framing. The next one is going to be called 3D sheathing. S-H-E-A-T-H-I-N-G, sheathing. We're going to work right now on the building shape. We'll make sure we're in an isometric model. Make sure I don't have any perspective set on this. And we'll just think about the building shape that we want to put on here. I'm going to work in color 0. Make sure I'm in line weight 2 so you can see it a little bit better. And this is going to be a relatively small building. It'll be like a shed with a shed roof on it. So let's create a block with our 3D tool. Go to our solids modeling. This will just be a block, and we're going to put in, first of all, the floor plan. So I'm just going to hit T for top after I hit a data point, and we'll make this building 8 feet deep. It's going to be 12 feet long, and put the height in here at 12 feet for now. And then rotate this to a right side view. We're going to pull it pull it away from the door a little bit here. This is going to have a shed roof on it, so we're going to go from the top, and to create, as I found out later after the previous video, if you turn on ACS plane snap, we want to draw a shape now that represents the hit S for side. With our smart line tool, I want to come down here and put it just an angle for the roof. So we'll go over 12 and down. That's in the 12 direction. Why is that? We want to change this to a front view. Sorry, there, that looks better. So this is the 8-foot side on the front view. I'll move it over. Hit F for front. Now we can turn on that smart line tool, and we'll go over here 12 and pull it down a distance of let's put a 8/12 pitch. Is that too much? Yeah, let's try a 6/12 pitch. Over 12 down 6 gives us a 6/12 pitch. Come right back up here, and we'll just stop it right there to create the shape. And now we're going to cut it using select the solid and then the cut solid tool. Left click one more time, and then we can delete the shape. We could have done this by just drawing this shape and then extruding it. There's a number of ways we could have drawn this block, but the basic reason for drawing this block is just give us something to snap to. Allows us to stay focused on what we're doing. So we've got our height. Our floor will actually stick down below this. So the first one we're going to start doing here is our floor framing. And our floor framing is going to be constructed from 2x8s. 2x8s are not necessarily 2 inches by 8 inches, as some of you may know. They're actually 1.5 inches by 7 1/4. So we're going to start by drawing a 2x8 coming off the bottom of this unit. We'll go to our 3D framing, and I'll select green as my color. Still line weight 2, and we're going to go back to our block, and we're just going to draw one 2x8 right here. So it's going to start right in this corner. I'm already in the front icon, so I'm going to go down a distance of 7.25. We're going to go over a distance of 1.5. and then just move it all the way to the far end. So our framing will actually be the full size here. So there's one frame. We'll come down and put another frame on this side, and we can go all the way up and touch this frame. Just go down. In other words, we got these snap points now. We'll just key in colon 1.5, and there's that frame. We can take this 2x8, grab it right by this corner, and if I pull it all the way down to the other end, I can place it right here. Now what we need to do is draw one on the inside on the back, so they're kind of staggered on the joints. It's colon 1.5 again. Once I snap there, go all the way back to this end, and we'll just snap right to the top portion here. Now I should have made sure that this ACH plane snap was off, so let's see if I made a screw up here. I did. I'm going to Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Looks like the only one that's good is the front one. What that plane snap does is it locks me in a plane axis, so I want to make sure I turn that off after I've drawn the block or created that shape to turn it off. It's something you got to constantly remind yourself. So we'll go up here, down to this corner again. I think I'm going to need to draw all of these over again. Apologize for that. Colon 7.5, colon 1.5. So if you're in class with me today, make sure you remind me to turn those things off when I'm done with them. That looks better. Colon 1.5. We're going to copy this one from the back corner right there to this corner so they line up. Now we come in here, draw another block on this side, colon 1.5, go all the way down to this end, we snap to the top. Now if we look at it from a top view, everything is lined up in good shape. So we're going to generally try to put our stringers in here in a way that allows the best use of material. So I want to run them 8 feet is front to back, so we're going to generally lay our plywood or sheathing on the top of this in, well, I guess it really doesn't matter. We got 12 feet in the other direction, so we can run our short stringers this way. Now these are on the outside, so we need to put another one. We're going to double band the framing on this, so we're actually going to just trace the inside of this one. If I just go here to here, come over, well, I guess it's already in the front, come over here to this intersection, and then just come out colon 1.5. And then we can take that one and copy it. Whoops, got to grab it by the other handle here. This handle. Copy it down to this end. Place it right there. We'll assume we got all kinds of money to spend. We'll double band the whole framing all the way around. Colon 1.5. You just always want to make sure you're not overlapping the joints, that they're all butted in place. So you can see how these are staggered. think we can just copy this one from this side to this side. So now we've got double banding all the way around. If we look at it in a top view, you can see that double banding all the way around the perimeter. Let's go back to our isometric and let's turn off our 3D building shape. So all we're left with is just this this outside framework, and if we look at it as a rendered image, oops, I guess get the right tool here, and whether we'll be able to see, you can actually see those seams now on this banding. So we need to create a joist on this inside. So I'm just going to take my solid block again, copy it, side to inside, and colon 1.5 thickness. Generally, remember our sheets of plywood are 4 feet wide or 4-foot modules. So I want to set a point, a line here, that from the outside corner edge, and hit S for side. I want to go down. I'll just left and right mouse button on this outside and hit O, and go down colon 16 and just draw a vertical line. That's where the center point of my first stringer needs to go. So I'm going to take my move tool, grab this last stringer that we just drew, pull it down in this direction. Remember, we're still in the S compass direction. Hit enter and just lock it to this point. So there's our first stringer. Now if we take our copy tool and just select this stringer anywhere, floor joist I should say, we're just going to put in colon 16, and it'll remember indexing will remember 16 inches after I keyed in the first time. So as I pull this down, you'll see that little blip show up on the end of my compass, and it's going to copy it 16 inches apart all the way down to the end until whatever's left over is less than 16 inches. So if we look at it now as a rendered view, we'll see our floor framing shows up now as something we could lay full sheets of plywood on, and they, at 16 inches on center, a full sheet of plywood would come down to the center of this joist, and then another 4-foot sheet would come to this joist, and whatever's left over would end up down here on the end. And we'd have an odd stringer in here that wouldn't be 16 inches from this side, but it's 16 inches from this side. Okay? Now let's put our plywood on here. So we're going to go to our 3D sheathing level, and I'm going to change my color to I'll change to this brown color, and we're going to put a 4x8 sheet of plywood on here. So we're going to start on this edge. This is what we call I want to say platform framing. So we're going to build the platform first and then put our framing on top of it. So I'm going to start here and go all the way to the end, which is 8 feet. We're going to go 4 feet wide, and our height is going to be colon, let's put a 3/4 inch plywood on the floor, 3/4, and there's our first piece of plywood. We can grab that by the top corner here and just copy it to this corner, and then copy that to this corner. So we purposely kind of laid this out so we didn't have to cut the plywood. Less waste. Go with the 4-foot module, and we can put this in place much easier. Okay, now we're going to lay down, we have this built, this platform built, and we're going to lay down what we call our sole plate for our framing. Now we might build this as a module outside, but in this case we can actually build it in place, so we don't even need some. We can use the computer to hold the studs for us. So we're going to go back to our 3D framing, and I'll actually use a smart match, our 1/7 tool, to just match that framing so it matches the same color. And we're going to lay down a 2x4. Remember, we talked about using 2x4 floors, so it's going to be colon 1.5 tall. Bring it all the way to the other end. We're going to snap it. Lost my mouse. And colon 3.5 for the height. So we have a single sole plate. Now we're going to do a vertical stud on this. Left click on this corner to this corner. Put in the depth at colon 1.5. And we're going to go with a height of, I'm going to say 12 feet. Because we're going to end up cutting it anyway. Okay. And if we turn on our building shape now, we can see that that 12-foot stud sticks out beyond the face. We'll go to a wireframe mode so we can see how this is set up. And what we want to do is put a double top plate on here that is angled. So we're going to go roll this around to a right side view, a front view. We're going to zoom into this area, and we are going to probably end up taking a 2x6 and ripping it so that we end up with the proper angle on this, that it doesn't cut into the corners. So if we do that, we can take our smart line or our place block tool, 3-dimensional. I'm going to hit F for front, and I'll just go spacebar N, because I don't really care what the width is on this. We're going to rip it anyway. Just left click here, pull it down, colon 1.5, and then see if we can roll it to an isometric, and there we go. And we're just going to pull this out beyond the end here. And you can see that that was right on this edge, so that's where we want it. Now that's a double, so if I rotate it back to a front view again and look at it here, I want to copy this down from this point. I'll just say spacebar N to about this point here. Crap, hold on. I'll just select it. I use my copy tool. Enter. Guess I want this piece right here. Enter, and N. There we go. Now, if we just take a block, we're going to grab this block, spacebar N. Hopefully it holds it straight. You may have to go down to your lock, ACS plane lock, and do that. And let's get in the habit of drawing those rectangular shapes and then immediately going and turning off that ACS plane lock. Now what we want to do is take this and cut it. We want to cut this one, and lost my tool, here it is. It says keep profile. With this piece, this one with this piece, this one with this piece, this one with this piece. Now we're going to same thing, we're going to turn on our ACS plane snap, draw a shape, and we're going to cut that, the vertical one. Now we're going to cut this vertical stud, this shape, and then delete it, and again go turn off that ACS plane snap. So when we go back to an isometric view now in a fit view, you can see that we've got these angled pieces that our rafters will fit on. Now from this point we can take our stud that we just drew, and we're going to copy that from the inside point on the top. I'm going to hit S for side, all the way up here to the other end. Whoops, did I go too far? Right to here. Just hit your enter key and lock it right to this outside edge. If we rotate this around to our right side view now, we can see where this overhang is. We'll just draw a block. Turn on the ACS plane snap, and we can just come over here and lock it right to that point. Turn off the ACS plane snap, And we'll do a cut solid. This one with this one with this, and that's it. There's only two of them, so let me just clean this out. Go back to our isometric view and a fit view. There's our framing. Now again, we want to mark a point 16 inches from the outside corner. So I'm going to take my smart line, go to this corner, left and right mouse button or a tentative point, go down :16, and left click and just do a vertical line. Now we can take this outside corner stud by the center point, pull it down, hit enter, and lock it right to this point, 16 inches. So now we're going to copy this 16 inches on center all the way down, :16, and let it index so you don't even have to key in the number anymore. Just keep bringing it down until you see that index point. Now yes, we're going to put windows in this building, but we'll frame those out later. We want to just frame everything up. So if I turn off my building shape now, matter of fact, I think I might have been in building shape when I was drawing that, so let's see if I was. Yeah, easy enough to fix. Just take my selection tool, select the box, there we go. We'll go to change 5:1, change the level to 3D framing. We can delete this little end piece, go in now, turn off 3D shape, there we go, and give this a little bit of rendering. So there's our front framing for the building. Now we also have the back framing for the building. So I want to rotate this to a front view. I'm going to select this framing that we just put on, and I'm going to copy that to the back end. We'll hit S for side, or excuse me, F for front, hit enter, and just bring it down to this end. If we turn on the building shape level again, we can say that this is now too tall. So what we're going to do is put a fence around this, just a regular fence, and then go to our 2-3 tool, manipulate fence contents, and stretch the cells. It's the last tool on the right. I'm going to grab this right by this corner, but I want to change this to wireframe first. There we go. Now go to manipulate, grab it right by that corner, pull it straight down, hit enter, and come down until it snaps to the top corner of the building shape. That's going to shorten our lineup. Now to get rid of the fence, you have to go just select the fence tool again. If we turn off the building shape again and rotate this to an isometric and a fit view and a little render, that automatically builds our back framing for the building. By just copying that and shortening it, we don't have to redraw everything, we can just reframe it. So we're starting to get there. I think what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna put the sole plate in for the near end framing and do kind of the same thing. So we'll get one of those in place, and we'll probably call it a day, and that'll get us caught up so that the videos will kind of match the classroom. Hopefully we can get this done tonight, but I have my doubts. So just based on how fast we've been going, it's been a little slow. We'll go right here. Now this sole plate's going to set right on just like the previous one did with our block tool. I want to snap right there to this point. We're going to go up a height of :1.5. We're going to go with a width of :3.5, and there's our framing. Starting here in the front, and I should change this back to a wireframe so I can see things. Whoa, getting a little crazy here. the thing to do. Let's make this even easier. I'm going to change this to a front view. And go to your level manager, right click, create a new one, and we're going to call this one 3D floor framing. And then we'll rename this one to 3D wall framing. Then we can select everything on the bottom and change it to 3D floor framing, and then turn off 3D floor framing. Go back to our isometric view. We'll turn off our 3D sheathing, so we don't need to see that. And now it'll be easier for us to work in this area. We can see where our studs are located. So right here we're going to put a vertical stud, and it's going to be 3.5 inches by colon 1.5. We'll just key in 7 for the height, or excuse me, 12 for the height. Now, if we ever decide that we want to put sheathing on the interior, we need to add an additional stud on this front framing that's going to give us something to nail to. So we're going to take this front stud right here, that one, and we have to just keep right clicking and copy it down to this corner. So it puts an extra stud in here, but you can see now on the inside it gives us 2 faces to nail to. So we double up the studs on one of these corners. Alright, now from this outside edge down we go 16 inches. So outside edge of the front framing of the building, go down colon 16. Just draw a vertical line. I'll go down with it so it doesn't interfere. And we're going to take our copy tool. We're going to copy this straight down until it stops there. That's 16 inches. Then we just copy this down colon 16, and we're building a building that you can't really get into, so colon 16, should be enough. We'll roll this around to a right side view, do a fit view. Oops, excuse me, front view I keep messing it up because I'm thinking I'm looking at the side. Now you can see what we end up with is a line ability to be able to cut these studs at the right angle. So we're going to take our lock tool, turn on the ACS plane snap, and just draw a shape from the top of this stud to the top of this stud, not the top plates, but just to the top of the stud, because we're going to lay some double top plates in there anyway. Create that shape, and then we're going to cut it. We're going to cut each stud using the same shape. Left click, left click, left click, left click. Just do it all the way down. Perfect. Delete the shape, and now we can go to our isometric view. We can see these shapes are right here. Now let's see if we can draw a stud on here. Actually, let's do this by creating a shape. We're going to use our W2, actually let's use our Smart Line tool, and make sure we turn off that ACS plane snap again. Turn this to a top view, see if I screwed this up. No, that one worked okay. Forever forgetting to turn that off. Now turn it off, and we're going to go here to this corner, go all the way down to the bottom corner right here. Oh crap, hold on. We're going to go vertical. I hit V, or excuse me, F. colon 1.5. And up here, I just left and right mouse button to do a tentative and then go up colon 1.5. But you know what? That's not going to give me the right dimension because this is an angle cut. So I want to do it a different way. Alright. Go to our block tool. I don't know why that compass continues to turn weird. I'll do a little short one here. Yeah, it's probably just going to be easier for us to roll it to a front view. And what we'll do is take our smart line. I'm just going to trace, crank it to a front view on the isometric. I'm just going to trace this all the way around. Let's look at it in an isometric view. Okay, that worked. If it doesn't work for you, you can turn on that ACS plane snap. So I just created that shape with our smart line. Now I'm going to go to our isometric view and I'm going to extrude that using our R1 tool. And we're going to extrude it colon 3.5. Perfect. Now roll it to a front view. All we're going to do now is create a shape, and we're going to trim this with that shape. So we're going to, I just created a rectangular shape. Left click here, left click here. Oops. You see how it's crooked? So this is where we need to put that ACS plane snap on. When you see a crooked arrow like that on the cut, you know you've got a. What you want to see when you cut this is the shape. You see how this is straight on? You're looking straight at it. If it's a diagonal arrow, it means it's going to cut it crooked. Come down on this side. W1, we'll just grab it here. Do our cut. This to this, delete this, turn our ACS off now. Now we can take this stud, hit the enter key, lock the axis, and move it straight up. That gives us our double top plate with all our cuts in place here. We're going to take our selection tool and select, make sure I can see it all here. If I just stay inside the studs on either front to back wall, it allows me just to select that piece. And I can see I'm missing a stud here now, so I'll deselect that. We need to come down and place another one right up against this one, and then we'll cut it. If I do a rotated place block, I'm going to turn my ACS plane snap on. There we go. All we're doing is just making ways to cut profiles, and you can do this any method you want to, as long as it works. Oh crap! I did a move instead of a copy. So I'm thinking copies my. Sometimes it's easier to just go back and redo it, so that'll give you some. This ACS is still on. Back to rotated method on the angle of that, here to here. And now we'll turn off the ACS plane snap again. Roll it to an isometric. Everything looks good. We do need to copy again. Same thing happens here, where we need to take this stud and copy it to the inside edge here, so we have a nailing surface in case we decide to put on interior sheathing. So you want to do that before. There, that's the one I want by that corner. Bring it up to that corner right there. Now we rotate it around to a front view. We're going to take our selection tool and start halfway in between that stud and halfway in between this, so it only selects the end wall. We'll turn this to a right side view, and we're going to copy this from this point. We'll hit S for side, hit enter, bring it all the way down to this edge, and left click. So the only thing we have left to do on the framing in this isometric view is come in here, and we need to take this stud right here. I'm going to copy that stud, this one. Oops, I want to copy it from the back side here. Hold on, come on. That point, bring it up to this point. Gives us that interior nailing surface. So you can see by doing this, it actually gives you a pretty good opportunity to see what you're going to need for material to do this type of framing. And it may seem a little bit, there we go, right there. Bring it up to this corner. Let's look at it in an illustrated mode where we can kind of roll it around and look at our framing, so you can see how we'd be able to frame this. Let's turn on our floor framing, and we can kind of look at it all together. There's all your framing for your building, except for your door headers, your window headers. And what we'll do during the next class is actually cut those into the building, again trying to save as much material as we can, but still giving us the layout we're looking for. We're going to put our roof rafters on with the overhangs, start putting our sheathing over the rest of the building outside, sheathing on the roof, do our overhang and our bird's mouth cuts, and then we'll put our door and window in place, or maybe copy the window to 2 different locations, and get this thing moving. But by putting things in different layers now, we're able to kind of turn things off, so it makes it much easier to work with. Now, and that should take care of you either through Monday or to Monday. We'll see how much we get done today. So that's our video for Wednesday. Thanks.